Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. After finishing the college entrance exam, our family took a trip to the beach. My grandmother, a very superstitious woman, believed that praying by the sea at midnight could bring us good fortune and wealth. She insisted that the entire family participate. I had heard on the news that a storm was expected that night, so I tried my best to convince them to stay at the hotel. However, my grandmother took my concerns as disrespect towards the sea god. She had my father tie me up and take me to the beach to apologize. I pleaded with them to let me go, but my brother chimed in, saying I deserved it. My mother also scolded me, calling me bad luck. In the end, they all went back to the hotel safely, and I was left alone, swept away by the powerful waves and drowned. When I opened my eyes again, it was the very day we had planned to go to the beach for the midnight prayer. I've calculated it. My grandmother was saying to my parents, "Tonight at 12:30 is the most auspicious time. If we present our offerings to the sea god, then the family will undoubtedly become rich next year." I sat up on the large sofa in our hotel room completely dry. Not a trace of rain or seawater on me. I realized then that I had been reborn. Before I could fully grasp the situation, a sharp slap landed on my face. My head snapped to the side and my ear rang. My grandmother's impatient voice echoed above me. "Jane, what are you daydreaming about? Did you even hear what I just said? If anything goes wrong with tonight's prayer, I swear I'll beat you to death." My parents joined in, their voices raised in anger as well. "You little brat," my mother yelled. "So stupid. You can't even be clever for once." The pain jolted my mind back to the present. In my previous life, the weather forecast had predicted heavy rain at midnight, and I had desperately tried to stop them from going, fearing for their safety. But my grandmother had accused me of being disrespectful to the sea god by trying to prevent the prayers. She had my father tie me up and forced me to apologize at the beach. A violent storm struck shortly after midnight. I endured the soaking rain and the raging wind for a long time before the relentless sea finally pulled me under. In my final moments, as the waves crashed over me, I saw the lights of our hotel room in the distance, where they were laughing and enjoying themselves. It had never occurred to them to come and rescue me. In this life, I decided it would be their turn to experience the terror of being consumed by the waves. At 11 o'clock that night, we all headed to the beach with the offerings. My grandmother carefully arranged the candles and incense, then knelt down to begin her prayers. According to her, the ritual needed to last at least an hour. By 11:30, the sky had turned dark. Lightning flashed, thunder roared, and the rain began to pour down. My brother, clearly unhappy about getting wet, stood up to leave. "I'm going back," he grumbled. "It's freezing." Grandmother called out quickly, "The ritual isn't over yet. You can't just run off." But he ignored her and continued walking away. "Let him go back or he'll catch a cold," my mother said, getting up as well. "I'll head back and make him some ginger soup." Out of love for her grandson, my grandmother reluctantly agreed. Soon it was just the three of us left on the beach. About half an hour later, the tide began to come in. My grandmother finally finished her ritual and hurried to leave. After taking a few steps, I quietly tugged on her clothes and whispered, "Grandma, I think I saw Mom's gold necklace drop. Why didn't you say so earlier?" My grandmother exclaimed, immediately panicking and turning back to search without hesitation. "That gold necklace is worth tens of thousands. Your mother is always showing off when she shouldn't be wearing it out here." She bent down by the edge of the water to look. The next moment, a large wave surged forward and pulled her into the water. "Mom!" my father shouted in shock, rushing to grab her. But the waves were too strong and they pulled him in as well. The powerful current dragged them further and further away. "Jane, go get a life preserver and save us." My father struggled to stay afloat while holding on to my grandmother, desperately shouting for help. I stood safely outside the reach of the tides, a small smile playing on my lips. "Dad," I called out, "I don't know how to swim." "You little brat. Are you doing this on purpose? If you don't go now, believe me, when I get back up there, I'll kill you." I ignored their pleas and threats. "Let's see if you can get back first," I thought to myself. A larger wave crashed in, pulling them even deeper into the sea. Their figures vanished completely beneath the churning water. Watching them disappear, I calmly walked back to the hotel to tell my mother. She was furious and slapped me twice across the face. "You wretched girl. Why wasn't it you who got swept away?" she shrieked before hurrying to the front desk to ask for help. The hotel staff immediately organized a search party. It took them nearly 3 hours to find them. When they were brought back to shore, my grandmother was already dead. Her lips were blue and her whole body was shriveled from the water. My father, while in the sea, had managed to grab onto a floating life buoy and was barely conscious. To save him, my mother used up all of our family savings. He was revived, but he was completely paralyzed from the neck down. After that day, my mother rarely came around, leaving me alone to care for him in the hospital. When my father woke up 3 days later, he saw me, and his face contorted in fury. He seemed to strain to hit me but was too weak to move. Only then did he realize the extent of his condition and nervously checked his limbs. I approached his bedside with a smile. "Dad," I said gently, "don't get upset. The doctor said your lower body is completely paralyzed and your organs are weak. Getting angry now will only—" My father glared at me with intense resentment, squeezing out words from between his teeth. "Wretched girl." I remained calm, simply reaching down to remove his oxygen mask. He struggled, his eyes wide with panic, trying to signal for me to put it back. "Dad," I said slowly, "I'm the only one left to take care of you now. You better be polite to me." Seeing that he was about to collapse, I finally put the mask back on. This time he only glared at me in silence, not daring to curse anymore. A week after the surgery, my father was brought back home. At first, he tried to complain to my mother, but she frowned at the sight of him in a wheelchair, harshly urging, "Get him into a room already. What's he doing here in my way?" Frightened, my father stayed silent, placing all his hopes on my brother. However, his reaction was even colder. "With Dad crippled, why bring him back? Couldn't we just leave him to die at the hospital?" My father had to face the harsh reality and dared not say anything more. My mother and brother didn't let it go either. Since my father was disabled, my mother refused to work. Living off the last of our savings, money became very tight. Whenever something went wrong, they took their anger out on my father. My mother would use a feather duster to hit him, or push him to the ground and start punching and kicking. My little brother was even more cruel. He wanted to know if someone who was paralyzed could still feel, so he smashed my father's kneecap with a hammer. I used to be the punching bag for the family, but then I got a temporary job and started bringing home some money every week. My mother and brother were so focused on my earnings that they stopped hitting me. One night after work, I came home, opened the door, and found my father lying on the floor, panting heavily. My mother immediately reached out her hand to me. "Where's this week's money?" I handed her my part-time earnings. "Just this little bit?" she asked, taking it but looking at it with disdain. "I spent years getting you an education. And for what? Useless." Just then, my brother came in with his friend. Seeing the money in my mother's hand, he snatched it without hesitation. "Perfect. I didn't have enough for tomorrow's outing with my buddies. Son, why don't you leave half for Mom? We haven't figured out this week's groceries." My mother tried to negotiate nicely, but my brother wouldn't budge. "I'm already short for tomorrow's fun." My mother didn't want to force him, so she just turned around and glared at me. I pretended not to notice and went to pick my father up, taking him into his room. My brother's friend kept staring at me, making me feel uncomfortable. After dinner, my mother suddenly changed her attitude. She brought me a glass of milk to drink before bed. "Isn't this for my brother?" "I'm not drinking it," I said, feeling uneasy. "Just drink it," she insisted. My mother never had much patience with me. Seeing that I wasn't going to drink it, she viciously twisted my ear. "If it weren't for your brother not wanting it, do you think you'd get a chance? You little ingrate, I try to be nice and you complain." Born unlucky, I couldn't refuse anymore and drank the milk. Only after I finished did she seem satisfied. She pushed me back towards my room, telling me to go to sleep. The moment the door closed behind me, I rushed to grab the spatula, stuck my fingers down my throat, and threw up all the milk. I didn't trust her sudden kindness. After a while, I started hearing hushed voices outside my door. "Quick!" I grabbed my old phone and started recording. She's out for sure, right? $500 a night. Tomorrow leave before she wakes up, my brother reminded his friend. I heard the friend respond, got it. You're really okay with this? 500 just to let me be with your sister? That girl's a loser, not worth anything else, my brother sneered. When he finished speaking, the door opened. In the pitch black, I felt a figure hover over me. Disgusting panting filled my ears and a hand fumbled onto my collar, trying to undo my buttons. I held my breath, then quickly flipped over and pressed him down onto the bed, smothering his face with the comforter. The guy was startled and started struggling. Grinding my teeth, I reached for the X-Acto knife hidden under my pillow and pressed it to his neck, whispering a warning. Don't move. The guy was shocked, his eyes wide with fear. With the knife held to him, I didn't allow him to make a sound. I grabbed my old phone and sent an emergency message to the police. After what felt like an eternity, I faintly heard sirens approaching outside. I deliberately released my hold. The guy immediately snatched the knife from me, tossing it aside. He pinned me down on the bed and slapped me hard across the face. You wretched girl. Threatened me with a knife? I paid. You should have been ready to please me tonight. By the time the police burst into the room, the guy had just tossed his shirt aside. It was clear what he intended. They rushed to pin him down and moved to help me, wrapping me in a coat and speaking gently. Are you hurt? What did they do to you? I acted shaken, trembling and crying, shaking my head. My mother and brother showed up too, looking terrified at the scene. This is breaking and entering. We can sue you, my brother yelled. Yeah, get out of our house. My mother joined in, screaming, but no one paid her any mind. The cop just sneered. There was almost an assault here. You'd better think about how to explain it at the station. What assault? No such thing. My mother reflexively denied it. My daughter's just with her boyfriend. What assault? She spoke, then glared at me. You stupid girl. Clear this up. You want to ruin us. I didn't respond, turning to whisper to the female officer holding me. Soon she moved to grab my old phone from the pillow. Together with the other officers, they listened to the recording. It captured everything. The plans to sell me and what happened afterward. Her face turned ghostly pale. She went wild, lunging to hit me. You little rat. I knew it. You're a snake in the grass. How dare you record to incriminate me and your brother? You've got a death wish. Shut up. Seeing how violent she was, officers had to pin her down forcefully, handcuffing her. You'd sell your own daughter. Do you even deserve to be called a mother? One officer couldn't hold back from saying. Tears that I had forced myself to shed still hadn't dried. Yet I couldn't help but laugh internally. They didn't deserve any better. These people deserved to rot in hell. My family was taken in for questioning with the recording, getting caught red-handed. They couldn't deny it. The guy ended up with a 3-year sentence. My mother took the blame for everything, saying she orchestrated it and my brother was forced. She got 10 years, my brother only 2 months. I watched the verdict play out, then went home and opened my mother's cabinet. Inside was my college acceptance letter from my dream school and my ID documents. After finals, to keep me in line, my mother had locked up my documents early, telling me not to get any ideas and to just work to support my brother's college. That day, I had knelt, begging her and my father nonstop, promising that even in college I'd earn enough scholarships to support my brother better than working odd jobs for money. My parents were hesitant about my future, but then my brother said, if she finishes college, she'll have a better degree than me. Wouldn't that just embarrass me? That completely crushed any hope I had. My father used a stick on me until there wasn't a single spot left unharmed, all because I dared to say I wouldn't go to college. Only then did he stop. My grandmother spat at me and coldly said, this stubborn girl just can't be settled. A girl wanting to study and no thought for housework. If she wasn't bringing in any money, we would have beaten her to death and saved our family from bad luck. They didn't feed me and kept me locked up, starving. It wasn't until my exam results came in, and the school sent a scholarship that they finally had to let me out. In my past life, I never got to see those things again. Luckily, in this life I could finally break free from them. The temporary job I told my mother about was actually tutoring some kids. Most of the money I earned I kept hidden, only handing over a small portion. I got my documents ready and sorted out my admission before school started. As for my father, I left him enough money to last 2 months until my brother got back. That was all just enough so that he wouldn't starve to death during those 2 months. When I left, my father wheeled himself out and desperately tried to grab onto me. "Jane, please don't go. What am I supposed to do all by myself now?" He was nowhere near as fierce. His hands were too weak to hurt me now, just grabbing at me powerlessly. I shook his hand off with ease. "Don't you still have my brother?" he always said. My brother was his hope for continuing the family line. And I was just a money drainer, a bringer of bad luck. Giving me food was a blessing, according to him. He always said your son was your retirement hope. I smiled at him. "You wait at home. All right, once he's back, everything will be fine." Even though it was summer, my father shivered. We all knew it wouldn't be fine. Ever since his accident, my brother has treated him, let's just say, no better than they all treated me. But that's exactly what I hoped for. I left without a second thought, walking away from that home. When school started, I threw myself into my studies. During downtime, I did tutoring gigs. I never got into my dream college in my past life. Now, with this chance, I wasn't about to waste it. I spent 2 of the most peaceful months of this life. Then, 2 months later, my brother somehow found out where I was and waited for me outside my classroom. As soon as I left the class, he pulled me aside. "Jane, you've really got some guts now, sneaking off to school like this." I was surprised to see him. "You're out already?" He was furious. "Don't think you're off the hook. Since Mom went to jail, you're going to have to take care of me. I'm broke. Give me all your money right now." He held out his hand like it was no big deal. I couldn't help but chuckle. "What if I say no?" "You wouldn't dare." He glared at me, ready to punch me. His usual go-to, just like the family. A little upset, and they'd beat me up. I used to not dare to dodge because if I did, they'd beat me even harder. Now I wasn't scared anymore. I grabbed his hand, reminding him, "Don't forget you just got out of jail. What, want another trip back in?" He glared at me, knowing the risk, and didn't dare to touch me. Instead, he threw some threats and stormed off. A few days later, I started feeling like someone was secretly following me. That night, when my roommate and I came back to our dorm, we found it in chaos. We looked around and realized all the valuable stuff was stolen, including 2 laptops and a designer bag from one of my roommates. I called the police. They checked the hallway camera outside the dorm. We saw a guy pick our lock and search the room for about 10 minutes before running off with stuff. It was none other than my brother. Luckily, one of the stolen computers had GPS. After tracking it, the police caught him in less than 2 hours. I had deliberately left a lot of cash behind in the dorm. With what he's taken, he'll be in for at least 8 to 10 more years. But then something unexpected happened when they caught him. They interrogated him about something else. He had killed our dad. I learned the details later. After he got out of jail, the first thing he did was go home to demand money. But my father only had the little bit I left him, which wasn't enough. Angry, my brother smashed my father's head with a hammer. My father bled out and died right there. The police said when they found him, the body was already rotting. Kinds of bugs and flies mixed with takeout trash, much like a dump. Imagining those 2 months of my father's life made me feel it was almost poetic justice. His beloved son finally sent him to hell. I couldn't help but wonder what my father was thinking and feeling at that moment when he was killed. My brother was found guilty of murder with solid evidence and was sentenced to life. During break, I visited him in prison. When he saw me, it was like seeing hope. He got all excited. "You're finally here. Get me out of here. I don't want to be locked up forever." Even now, he thought he'd get out. I didn't know whether to laugh at his naivety or call him stupid. "You got life. How am I supposed to get you out?" I asked, amused. "Tell the police you did it," he insisted without hesitation. "And that money was rightfully mine. I didn't steal. Confess to them and switch places with me." I laughed in disbelief. "You killed someone. Why would I swap places with you? I'm your brother. This is what you're supposed to do," he said as if it were a matter of course. "If you dare not go." His words stopped mid-sentence. He used to threaten me, saying he'd tell the elders if I didn't obey. They always found a way to make my life miserable. But now I smirked. "Why aren't you finishing your sentence?" Mom's already in jail because of you and Dad. You killed him. What else do you think you can threaten me with? My brother was speechless. When threats didn't work, he softened his tone. Sis, we're still siblings bound by blood. Can you really be okay with me being locked up for life? I'm begging you, save me. He put himself in the lowest position. I looked at him mockingly. In my past life, when my father tied me up by the sea, my brother watched. I begged him just like this. But he only said, "You deserve it." Then he kicked me over, pressed my head into the sand just for fun. When he got bored, he just walked away. So do I really not want to? Seeing those who killed me in my past life meet a deserved fate brings me the most joy. If I saved you, wouldn't all my past suffering be for nothing? I said with a cold smile. Visiting time was almost over. I spoke into the intercom one last time. Stay in here and reflect for the rest of your life. After saying that, I stood up and left. My brother kept calling out from behind, pounding on the glass. Jane, get back here, you witch. I vaguely heard him curse. Then quickly, a guard came over and took him away. I left the prison without looking back. At that moment, I felt a freedom I'd never experienced before. 10 years flew by just like that. Without those demonic family members, I finished my studies and found a decent job. Over these years, I saved up quite a bit of money. In a few more years, I could hit my retirement goals. Right at this point, a familiar call came through on my old phone, one I hadn't used in a while. I answered. You little brat. Where the hell have you been hiding? In the next moment, I heard the sharp and venomous. Even though it had been 10 years, her voice instantly brought back memories of the abuse. Don't think you can escape me by running away. I'm your mother. You'll support me for life. The woman kept yelling over the phone. I laughed. They truly were mother and son. Their words to control me were identical. Mom, you're out of jail, huh? I had long expected this day to come. I hadn't planned on avoiding her. I gave her my new home address, letting her move in first. By the time I got home from work, the place was a mess. Everything was turned upside down like it had been ransacked. My mother lay on the couch, greedily devouring the supplements I had in the freezer. 10 years had passed and she had aged a lot. She looked haggard, tired, and hunched over quite a bit. But when she saw me, it was just like before. She put down the supplements and charged at me, raising a hand to hit me. You little wretch. I finally found you. You must be tired of living. How dare you hide here alone? I grabbed her hand as it came down to hit me. The hands that once felt strong and impossible to resist now seemed weak in my grip. Mom, I said calmly. I wasn't hiding, just out working. I tightened my grip on her hand until she let out a painful scream. She struggled to pull away, a bit afraid, mumbling under her breath. You brat. Now you've got some strength. She sat back down and asked, Where's your brother? She had just gotten out and didn't know he was in prison. I Utrecht liet. He's on a trip. Knowing I'm out, you didn't even bring him to pick me up? Useless. My mother started cursing again, mumbling about the hardships she endured in prison. If it weren't for you setting me up, I wouldn't have been in jail for 10 years. I'm telling you, if you haven't been taking care of him, I won't forgive you. She rambled on, blaming it all on me. It was laughable how, after 10 years, she could still confidently put all the blame on me. I didn't expose her lie, I just said, He'll be back soon. Mom didn't say anything else, asking me to get a room ready for her to stay in. My place needs renovation soon. How about staying at a nearby care facility for a while? It'll also help you recover your health. What care facility? At first, she resisted, but when I mentioned it offered free meals and health care, she couldn't resist and hurriedly moved in. But shortly after moving in, she started having frequent nightmares. The facility was by the sea, and every night she dreamed of Grandma, who had drowned, coming back for revenge. The constant sound of the waves became a source of terror. About 2 weeks later, I visited. She looked like a different person, with weariness weighing her down. Huddled on the bed, looking around tensely, shaking. When she saw me, Mom eagerly grabbed me. Daughter Jane, you're here just in time. Get me out of here. I don't want to stay. Isn't it nice here? Why leave? I asked, genuinely confused. Didn't I pick this beautiful seaside area just for you? And the care facility too, built just for her release, costing a fortune? She's their only guest. No, it's not. I want to leave. Please take me away. Mom babbled desperately, repeating the same words. I laughed. Weren't you always telling me to take care of you? With such a beautiful place, wouldn't it be great to stay forever? Hearing forever made her tremble even more. I don't want to. Please, Jane, I'm begging you. Let me go. Mom really can't take it anymore. Ever since coming here, Grandma keeps haunting my dreams. She says I was the one who harmed her back then, and she wants me to join her down there. I don't want to go. Save me. Take me away. My mom clung to my clothes fiercely, scared I might run off. Looking at her, she seemed confused between a dream and reality. I stared at her, panic without a flicker of emotion. She didn't know that in my past life, when I was tied up by the sea, I begged her the same way. Dad and Grandma were the ones who tied me up, and my brother just mocked me. So I pinned all my hopes on Mom. I was naive, thinking maybe since I was part of her she'd feel for me. I cried and told her I'd die, begging her to take me back. But she wouldn't listen. She just said, "The seaside view is lovely. What's all this nonsense about dying? So unlucky. Back in the day I yearned to see this view. Now you're just here for some reflection. You should be grateful." Then she left with everyone else. Only I was swallowed by the waves. Now she has a chance to live by the sea for life. She can see that view she longed for every single day. Weren't you always wanting to live in an oceanfront house? Now that wish is fulfilled. Be happy, I whispered in her ear. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Dad's dead too. Killed by the son you guys raised. Your precious son's in jail now. So tell me, do you think Dad might join Grandma to visit you tonight? You didn't raise my brother right, which led to Dad's demise. He'd definitely want to drag you to hell to pay for it, wouldn't he? Hearing me, Mom grew more frantic and screamed. I calmly stepped back, watching her. Tonight, her nightmares would probably have Dad in them too. She didn't know that all these days she dreamt of Dad and Grandma because I had the nurse implant psychological suggestion, so she would unknowingly think of them every day. Before I was born, she was the one Dad and Grandma abused. Deep down, she was more terrified than me. She understood the pain of such treatment. Yet she still inflicted it all on me, even worse. In this life, let her suffer torments like this forever. I turned and left the nursing home. Before leaving, I reminded the nurse to take good care of her. Sometime later, the nurse called and said my mom couldn't take it and went insane. I paid the nurse to have her sent to a mental hospital. From that moment, I was truly free. I trust that without them, I can live out the rest of my days peacefully.